I heard an old story.
Thank you for tuning in to the television ministry of Clays Mill Baptist Church.
Oh, victory in Jesus.
Join us as we share our passion for soul winning, spiritual growth, and revival in our state and nation. And now, Pastor Jeff Fugit.
Well, good evening and welcome to the program tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. I trust you're doing well and enjoying this good hot month of June. The Lord's been mighty good to us, and we are enjoying a wonderful summer here at Clays Mill Baptist Church. New students are enrolling for college at Commonwealth Baptist College for this fall. If you have interest in Bible college, you ought to call today, Commonwealth Baptist College, and get information about how you could become a student at CBC this fall. We're in the midst of the schedule of Circle C Baptist Ranch, and we're having a wonderful time there in Lancaster, Kentucky, and all of the campers, the camp staff, everybody is enjoying a wonderful time. We're excited about the building construction that is going on, and I'm sharing a blessing tonight that I shared on Wednesday night. And if you have not heard already, the Lord continues to answer prayers financially. He does so because of the faithful giving and prayers of our people. I have been just amazed, and I have been impressed and excited about every person being involved, from the children to the eldest in our church. If you have watched any of our church services online, you see during the offering, the children get up and they bring their offering and they put it in a little church building that's up front, and all of that money goes to the building fund. I told the children specifically, as well as the adults, I want you to join me in a prayer for a financial miracle because it would take about $2.5 million to complete the building, and they're working every single day, and things are progressing and they are moving forward. And so they've been praying with me, as have the adults in our church, for a miracle. And this past Wednesday evening, I announced that one of our good laymen in church that's been a part of our church for a good number of years gave our church a piece of real estate, and that real estate building is for sale. We have a potential buyer, and the amount of that could be right at $1 million. Here's the process. We're getting an appraisal right now, and then we have a selling price of $975,000. All of this money going to the building fund. I'm having a hard time standing here, not being just so excited I could take a run and go fit every time I tell of God's goodness. Oh, my dear friend, I used to pray, God, give us some millionaires in our church. And then I thought, it'd be a wonderful thing if God just took the men that we have that work hard and they have character and they're faithful to give to God and make them millionaires. Well, God has done that a few times, and I am grateful to the Lord for His goodness, and look forward to getting this property sold. So let's say we get $950,000 after all of the fees and everything are paid, and we had $2.5 million to complete it. We're about $1.5 million away. Now, we don't want to borrow any more money because of the inflation and all of the things that are going on, and we want to raise that last amount of money, and our folks are giving toward phases. Let me look at our chart here, phases 5 and 6, which is the front and education exterior doors and windows. Now that is going in right now. It is about 75% complete right now. They put in doors, they put in windows on this past Friday, yesterday, and they are putting that front exterior on. That's what this cares for. We need $73,500 right now. We need to get that up there so we can get that cared for and we can move forward into the next phases. So I've got to move on, but to say I'm excited about the construction that's going on. Come join us. If you don't have a church to attend tomorrow, come join us in the morning Sunday school at 9:30, church at 10:30 tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, Sunday evening at 6 p.m., Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Let me tell you where I will be preaching and the activities that are going on for the rest of the summer. Monday and Tuesday, I'll be at the Liberty Baptist Church of Bowling Green down on Glen Lily Road. July the 3rd, that is Sunday, it is Faith, Family, and Freedom Sunday at our church. I look forward to a great day. I hope that you'll come morning and evening. In the evening time, we'll have some food after service, and then we'll have a time of fireworks and fellowship, and all of that's going to be great. July 4 to 8, I'll be speaking at the Circle C Baptist Ranch for Family Day and Family Camp. That's going to be great. July 11 to 14, that is our Vacation Bible School. Vacation Bible School this year will be at the Clays Mill Road property, 3000 Clays Mill Road, and that's Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. to noon, and the ages are 3 to 12. I'll be preaching Monday and Tuesday, July 11 and 12 at the Bible Baptist Church of Hazard, Kentucky. July 18, 19, I'll be at the National Sword of the Lord Conference in Walkertown, North Carolina. I'll be preaching on Tuesday evening with missionary Kevin Wynn. He and I will be doing the preaching on Tuesday evening. July 25 and 26, I will be at the Victory Baptist Church of Winthrop, Maine. August 1st and 2nd, I'll be at the Starlight Baptist Church, Orlando, Florida. Friday evening, August 5th, I'll be in Waterford, Michigan for the annual Soul Winning Conference there. August 8 and 9, I'll be at the Aurora Baptist Church in Anchorage, Alaska. That's my schedule, and that's what's going on for the summer. Thanks for listening to the announcements tonight. I look forward to you hearing all of the singing tonight, and you're going to enjoy it. Here's our first song right before the message.
It's been some time since I made up my mind to make Jesus Lord of my life. I've had some fears and shed many tears, but patience has stood by my side.
When I hear Satan say you're not even saved, you're traveling down the wrong track, I recall once again where grace withstood sin. Down memory's lane I take him back.
And I take him back to a time at an old-fashioned meeting when the presence of God filled the air, when saints were singing of grace and glory, sweet melody seasoned with prayer, when one simple sermon from an old-fashioned preacher was like life to a poor dying slave. I walked him down the aisle to a place at the altar where grace fell and I know I got saved. Now I never knew love till it came from above and took its abode in my heart. The sun now shines brighter, my burden is lighter since Jesus gave me a new start.
My songs have been changed, my life rearranged. My journey is now a new road. And when that old accuser tells me I am a loser, I remind him how he lost my soul.
And I take him back to a time at an old-fashioned meeting when the presence of God filled the air, when saints were singing of grace and glory, sweet melody seasoned with prayer, when one simple sermon from an old-fashioned preacher was like life to a poor dying slave. I walked him down the aisle to a place at the altar where grace fell and I know I got saved, when one simple sermon from an old-fashioned preacher was like life to a poor dying slave. I walked him down the aisle to a place at the altar where grace fell and I know I got saved.
I'm preaching tonight from the book of Isaiah and chapter 1. I would beg your attention these 17 minutes as I take the chapter of Isaiah, the first chapter of Isaiah, and show a very close and real comparison to what's going on in our nation today. Our nation is in a very sad condition in every area. First of all, spiritually. The number of folks attending church is still on the decline. The number of people that believe in God is still on the decline. Number of folks that are rejecting God, rejecting the Bible, that's on the increase. The promotion of wickedness on every hand and in every age is on the increase. Recently, different announcements were made from various leaders, most of them federal representatives in Washington. One said we need to lower the voting age to age 16. And their reasoning was talking about how young people knew what was going on and how smart they were, and they had the ability to choose who the next president of the United States would be and who the congressmen, senators, and all of that. So they wanted to lower the age to age 16. At a different announcement, they said, due to mental health issues and rising mental illness in America, and the various reasons connected, we're going to recommend that the age of buying a gun should be raised to age 21. And so one day they say age 16 to vote, age 21 to buy a firearm. And then there was an announcement made that children at the age of 8 should be able to request a sex change surgery, and if with the parents' consent at age 8. Now, folks, what I just said to you is absolutely ludicrous. It is insane. It is crazy, and it continues every day. We're seeing Bible prophecy fulfilled in one world government issues, one world church issues, and all of that. We see the lack of use of cash and the control of money, that all of people's money is on their phone or is being used digitally, and digital money. I go through the airports often in my travels, and most of the airport locations that sell various snacks and just different things, all kinds of stores in the airports, they do not take cash. You have to have a credit card to be able to make purchases, to make transactions. I go on and on and on with these things that are crazy. Just look at the headlines of today of national news, international news, and even local news. 40 some odd books are in our libraries right now in the state of Kentucky that is promoting not just homosexuality, but transgender and numerous genders rather than the only two genders there are, and that is male and female. I go on, and you know about all of that. What's interesting is when you read of the destruction of the nation of Israel, when Israel fell from being a powerhouse, having the power of God upon it, having the power of God within it in the days of Isaiah, I'm amazed at the correlation that we find in the nation of Israel and the nation of America. Now, before I give you these things from Isaiah chapter 1, I want to point out there is always hope for revival. When the remnant of God, when the remnant righteous of God's people, when they rise up and they get a hold of God in prayer, and they have God's power in their life, and they live a clean life, we have the possibility, we have the potential for revival in America. Now, I do not think that it is prophecy at all for me to say, I don't think it's prophetic at all for me to say our nation is on the way to destruction. You can talk to a right-wing conservative Christian, or you can listen to the left-wing policies and economic reports, and you'll see that there is fear and concern of our nation collapsing. Recently, I was listening to the Fed chairman, and he was talking about inflation, and he said the only way to correct this inflation is with a recession. And I thought, I don't know that I understand all of that. It sounds to me like the way you get rid of the flu is to get the chicken pox. And I don't know about you, but both of those are sickness, and those are not positive answers. I'm thankful that we have the Word of God as a child of God, that we do have positive answers. Now, let me show you the correlation between the fall of the nation of Israel and what's happening in America. In Isaiah chapter 1, Isaiah talks about Israel's condition. And the first thing he points out is a people that are people of ingratitude. They are not thankful for the goodness of God. Look at verse number 2. Isaiah 1, verse number 2. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for the Lord hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me. God said, I nourished Israel. I brought up the nation. I brought up children, and they rebelled against me. Rather than saying thank you, they rebelled against me. Now, when you compare that to America's founding and the attitude in America's founding, and when you compare that then to the attitude of the nation of Israel when they came into the land of Canaan, you went from a great thankfulness and gratitude to where we are today in gratitude, not thankful for what we have. We are still in America wasting more than we once had as a nation. We're wasting more monetary value. We're wasting more things. We're putting more things in the garbage dump, giving more things away than America once had. I could give a lot of illustration here. I'm not going to, but I think it suffices to say that we're living in a day of unthankfulness. Now, when Paul wrote to Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 3, he said the last days would be a day when folks would not be thankful for what they had. We get used to luxuries and we get used to things, and when those are threatened or taken away, we become filled with complaint. My dear friend, when I read those early Thanksgiving proclamations of our presidents and those even before that, in the earlier days before America became a nation, even though they would have disease and sickness and folks would die naturally, they would not be mad at God. They would be thankful for what they had. So Israel was a nation of ingratitude before they fell as a powerhouse. Verse number 3, we find that they were a nation of ignorance. Verse number 3, the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel doth not know, my people doth not consider. What's he saying here? They no longer recognize that all of their blessings come from God. First of all, they're not thankful. Second of all, they don't even know who God is. And so when you stop being thankful, that takes you from ingratitude to ignorance. We live in a nation of ignorance today. And I'm not trying to be smart or harsh. I'm just saying of the things that people do not know that they should know. Folks are ignorant of America's history and our founding on the principles of the Word of God. We live in a day where many, they couldn't name the President of the United States. They couldn't name any senators or congressmen. They couldn't tell you anything about American history. And this woke generation that's trying to destroy America's heritage and history, they are headed to destruction. And so verse number 3, we find ignorance. Then naturally, verse number 4, we find iniquity. And so sin follows ingratitude, ignorance, then you have iniquity. Let me read the verse to you. Ah, sinful nation, a people laden with iniquity. Laden means to be piled up. Laden with iniquity. A seed of evildoers. Children that are corrupters. They have forsaken the Lord. They have provoked the Holy One of anger. They have gone away backward. So we find iniquity. Time does not permit me to talk about the iniquity that America is laden with today. Everything from drunkenness to immorality, which begins with the immodesty. There are no standards, there are no behaviors. Everything, folks believing that is right to do. In fact, we've come to the place in America that we call evil good and we call good evil. I'll not give illustration, and I'll hasten because of the things I want you to see. Here's what's interesting. You have ingratitude, then you have ignorance, then you have iniquity, then you have illnesses. Look at verse number 5. Why should ye be stricken any more? Ye will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick. Head sickness is mental illness. And the whole heart faint. Verse number 6. From the sole of the foot even unto the head there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment. We're talking about gun control today as a response to the mass shootings and the school shootings. And we think one of the ways to protect is to take away a right or a privilege of protection, which is the Second Amendment. We're not recognizing what the cause is. And we have illness of every kind. Yes, we have a mental illness, and that mental illness is stemming from a heart illness and from a spiritual illness, from an ignorance, from an ingratitude, from iniquity, and from sin, the result of that illness. I saw recently President Biden said a second pandemic is coming. He said, we need more money. A second pandemic is coming. Now, I don't know if he knew what he's talking about or if they wrote that on his little card. I don't know what that is about. But we have illnesses everywhere. Right now, as I'm preaching, COVID is spiking again in China, which is stopping or slowing the production that we have become dependent on. God help us. And now we have lines of delivery of goods that have been broken. We're waiting 4, 5, 6 weeks for concrete to be delivered. We're waiting months for air conditioning units to be delivered. Car lots are empty, and we see all of this happening. Illness is taking place, the pandemics and all of that. Now, number 5, this is interesting. Now we have an invasion. First of all, we have ingratitude. Second of all, we have ignorance. Third of all, we have iniquity. Fourth of all, we have illnesses. Verse number 7, we have invasion. Listen to this. Your country is desolate. Your cities are burned with fire. When's the last time you saw one of our cities on fire? Well, sure. The rioters have burned and trashed stores and businesses, cities and towns. We've had many folks to move from cities in cities in the state of New York, New Jersey, California, and those places. They're coming to quieter, calmer places in like Kentucky because their cities are burning down, many because of the rioters. Let me read on. Your country is desolate, your cities are burned with fire, your land strangers devour it in your presence. You can see illegal immigrants, illegal people destroying or taking the nation from within. You can see it. And it is desolate and overthrown by strangers. Now, don't misunderstand me in the fact of loving people. We have a Spanish church, we have a Bhutan ministry, and on it goes. I'm not going to try to defend all of that, and folks that would make false accusations that this preacher doesn't love black people, doesn't love Spanish people, and on and on. Those people who would say that are just ignorant. They've never been to our church. They've never seen the church in operation that God has allowed us to have in reaching people. They've not seen that. But I'm telling you, friend, that strangers from around the world, they are buying up, they are destroying this nation. I'm not talking about America in Isaiah 1. I'm talking about Israel. But in every nation where you find ingratitude and you find ignorance and you find iniquity, you're going to find illness, you're going to find invasion. Notice the next thing, insincerity. People don't care. There are many folks, they just don't care. Verse number 11, to what purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me, saith the Lord? I am full of burnt offerings. Here he's talking about religion. They go along in their iniquity, and then they go to church on Sunday and give some kind of an offering to God, thinking that covers up for the iniquity that they are living in. And there is an insincerity. Folks, we're supposed to walk with God in holiness. If you walk with God, you're going to walk with God in holiness. And so we have insincerity in religion. We have folks that they don't have a relationship with God. They just have a religion to cover. And now they're promoting everything. Drag queens in so-called churches. Immorality promoted. Homosexuals ordained to the pulpit ministry of a church. May the Lord help us, our insanity today. And so we have insincerity. Then we have injustice. You hear that word every single day on the hour. Justice, injustice. Listen to verse number 21 of Isaiah chapter 1. How is the faithful city become an harlot? It was full of judgment, righteousness lodged in it, but now murderers. We live in a day where there are drive-by shootings in places like Chicago week after week, and especially they spike in the weekends. It seems that nothing is said about that. We have Supreme Court justices that are pro-life. Their lives are being threatened, and that behavior is being not only protected but being promoted by many that are in Congress today. And so we go right down the line from ingratitude, ignorance, iniquity, illness, invasion, insincerity, and then we have injustice. Now listen to this. Verse 22, we have inflation. Think about this now. The silver is become dross, thy wine mixed with water. So we have inflation. We've never had inflation like we have it right now. You say, well, we need more economists. No, dear friend, we need to get right with God. We need to have a revival of righteousness and holiness in our nation. We need to get up in the morning and get dressed and go to Sunday school and church and have a desire to become more like Christ. That's what we need in this country. But we have inflation. And then last of all, in verse 23, we have irresponsibility. Now, I'm going to preach more about this in church in the next couple of weeks. I want you to come join us. I want you to come be with us at Clays Mill Baptist Church, Sunday school at 9:30, church at 10:30 in the morning, tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock, Wednesday at 7. Come and join us, and you'll be glad, and you will enjoy. If you like preaching, you like singing, you'll enjoy church at Clays Mill Baptist.